know if you read some of the statements made in the paper, but I describe this as environmental racism because it is.
I don't think that is fair, just to base that everybody's against this just because those communities have said, we don't think it's good for us. They don't speak for everybody in the region. There are 3 LNG companies that are currently in the FERC permitting process. The names of the 3 are Anova LNG, Rio Grande LNG, and Texas LNG. What they're proposing to do is secure a permit from the federal government to essentially build a liquefaction facility and an export terminal for the purposes of turning natural gas into LNG and exporting it for foreign markets. That is what the proposal that is on the table.
LNG stands for liquefied natural gas. So natural gas is usually in a gas state, and they want to build these facilities in the port of Brownsville, right next to Port Isabel on South Padre Island. They're called export facilities, and essentially they'll take natural gas, refine it, and liquefy it, and turn it into a liquid so that they can fit it into these tanker ships and export it overseas. So by liquefying it, they shrink the gas so they can store more gas in these tanker ships. So it's an entire industrial complex, what they want to build here in the valley. It includes pipelines, export terminals, and then more of these massive tanker ships to export.
Has the city of Port Isabel filed an official resolution against LNG?
We sure have.
So tell us about it.
Well, I mean, we oppose these LNG facilities for a variety of reasons. The number one reason is the potential environmental effect. And when I say environmental, I don't just mean the prospect of pollution, but also the visual blight that it could create, the noise, the harm that could happen to animals. It's a sensitive area there along Highway 48. And so we're very concerned by that. You know, we're a community that exists because of tourism and commercial fishing. Those are our 2 principal industries, and both are threatened by this development.
Well, why does the Port of Brownsville support this project?
Well, first and foremost, the port we're an industrial port, we're a maritime port. Our mission is to attract industry and, more importantly, to create jobs. These economic investments, and the port is a major economic engine in the region. It's not just a Brownsville thing. It's, obviously it's not only South Texas, but northern Mexico.
Well, I mean, we've taken, we haven't just filed a resolution. We also challenged their applications with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. We work with other cities in the area. I think we took the lead, but Laguna Vista and South Padre Island joined with us. And so we've been united as a Laguna Madre. The Laguna Madre Water District was actually the first organization to stand up to this, but all of these entities and also our school district have stood up to LNG and stood up for our residents. So what it means, number one, is that we're a united community, not just Port Isabel, but the Laguna Madre area in general. I think 2, it's a story of a small town, a small community against larger forces, and fighting for what's right, and fighting to preserve nature, and fighting to preserve a way of life.
It seems like local communities do not want these LNG terminals to be built. What does that mean for these companies and the port to support an unpopular project?
Well, I can tell you that it means that the Laguna Madre communities don't support it. The port is much bigger than this Laguna Madre communities. And haven't heard anything from the other communities that represent the Rio Grande Valley. So at the end of the day, I think that's their opinion, and they can keep that opinion. I really don't have any comment to that. So I don't know that that represents the feeling of the entire region. It might represent the feeling of the Laguna Madre area, but at the end of the day, again, the impact of these is much greater. There's also been cities that have supported it. There's been economic development entities that have supported it. There's been Chamber of Commerce's report. A lot more that have supported it than the communities of the Laguna Madre area that have opposed it. So again, I don't think that is fair, just to base that everybody's against this just because those communities have said, we don't think it's good for us. They don't speak for everybody in the region.
I think that's a story that you hear all across this country and all around the world. But that's a story that's being told here. You have, folks in Brownsville that I find it very, very interesting that the folks supporting this are not the folks that have to live with it. And that's oftentimes the case when you have pollution. And that's oftentimes the case when you have injustice. the people that perpetrate the injustice, that benefit from the injustice, are not the folks that suffer from it. And that's why it persists. And at the very least, we can stand up and we can call it out and we can point them out and say, we know what you're doing. I mean, I don't know if you read some of the statements made in the paper, but I describe this as environmental racism because it is. You know, it's not just Brownsville. You have large companies from Houston, up north, they want to come down here and they want to put this plant here. Now, why would they put it here? All the places in the United States, why do they choose to put it here? It's farther from anywhere else. Maybe it's because they think they can get away with it. Maybe because they think that people in the rest of the United States don't care about our people and they can get away with it. And if we don't say anything, they sure will.